So hello everyone. In today's video we're going to make a small balsa wood model. So I just taken a plan from the internet and cut out those papers. So we have the wing, the fuselage and the tail. This is a Pipercub J3. I just scaled it. I've taken a 2 mm balsa. I'm just going to mark the outlines of all these parts. I'll start with the wing. Since we need two parts for the fuselage, the body, I'll trace out two of those fuselage outlines. And we have space for the tail. Okay, so outline is ready. Now let's cut it out. I'm using a hardware knife. You can even use an art knife since it's just a 2 mm balsa wood. I'm just making a rough cutout. I'm just removing the pieces out so that while cutting it doesn't damage the nearby pieces. We had explained about the grains in balsa wood. If any doubts, you can watch the video. So cutting along the grain is actually easier, and across the grain is still harder, and chances of breaking is more. Now I'm just cutting the tail. I'm cutting it along the outer line. A little extra is fine, anyhow we'll be sanding it later. Just don't go inside the line. Make sure the cut is outside. So roughly the tail is cut. I'm cutting the edge of the wing. This is the winglet side. Okay, I think these edges we can remove it while sanding it. Okay, the wing is cut, the tail is cut, now the fuselage. So I'm making a quick cut. I have to be very careful while cutting the tail because it has the horizontal grains, so chances that the tail may come off. Make multiple cuts so that you don't break the balsa wood and it's very smooth cut. Now we can see there's a small difference in both the pieces. So what I'm going to do is just hold it together and make sure both the sides are same. So I'll remove all the extra edges, corners and all. Later we'll be cutting out the tail because it would be too thick. Now the cutting part is completed. So here I have taken P180 sandpaper. So this is a softer end which you get in the hardware shop. Since it's a very small model, I started with a soft sandpaper itself. Now I'm going to make sure all the edges are same and smooth. Just hold it together, start sanding. Now for the wing. So we have this raw edge. So we're just gonna sand it out. Make sure those rough edges are not there. Smoother aircraft looks very good and performs well when you are doing for actual air modeling. This is just starting model. Okay, so if you see the front, there's actually this corner edges, right? So we'll just have to round it off. We should not have a sharp edge, and we're supposed to actually do it in an aerofoil shape. So I'm just gonna sand the two edges off so it's not sharp. And same with the trailing edge, right? We will sand it to the thinnest possible. So all the parts are now sanded. Now I need to fix the bulkheads. I'm just taking a small piece of balsa wood. As per the dimension, just seeing the width of the fuselage. So just mark the height. I'm going to use two bulkheads. This is the second one. So that has also been marked. I'm just going to use Cyno acrylate or 743. Just use a small drop, but that should be fine enough. Same here, so it's fixed. Now let's fix the other side. I'm just going to mark the line position first. If you're going for the actual dimension, I think you'll get all the points and you just have to measure and fix it. Same single drop. It's fixed. Now to bring the shape, I'm just going to give a small groove cut at the bulkhead location, along the line. Don't go too deep. It's a 2 mm balsa, so I'm going like around 1 mm or little more. Just be careful while bending so it doesn't break. If it doesn't bend, make a small another cut. Same way I'll go for the other side. Yeah, so this is bending easier. Yeah, so both are done. Now same way for the tail section, we'll do it. On second bulkhead, I'm making a groove. Groove on the opposite side also. Okay, now this is the longer side, so it's easy to bend, but I told you we need to cut the tail, right? So now let's cut the tail off. Let's check the design. So there's a small vertical line should come here. Yeah, here. Let me just cut it out. This is on the left side of the fuselage, so I use the other side tail properly, like without any other extra cuts. So I'll use this part for the vertical tail. Yeah, now this is done. See, now this is a raw end, so I'm just going to make a slant cut so that it makes a small like a sharp edge, a sharper tail. Make sure you don't cut the tail. Sharp enough. So let's put another drop of glue here. That's done. Now I need to make position for the horizontal tail. So I'm just going to make a small flat cut, so that angle doesn't miss out. On the bottom side, I'm just sharpening it so that the tail looks more to the end. Now let's position the horizontal stabilizer. Again, put a drop. Okay, now the front nose, right? I'm just putting a small piece and the extra piece I'll just cut it off. Later we'll mount a small propeller in the front. Okay, so the basic fuselage is ready. Now let's cover it up. So I'm just taking a small piece. I used a different oriented grain so that I can bend it easily. Let's cut off the extra edges. Don't worry about the neatness, we'll be sanding it out so we can make it neater then. Okay, up to the nose it's completed. I think small part on the tail. Okay, just make sure you don't put any gaps. If there's a hole, just put a small balsa and stick it. And while sanding, when you get those dust, save it so that you can use it for other filling purpose. Be very careful when you're cutting the tail because the chances the blade cut the tail is high. And since it's a very small model, it can even break. So the bottom part is completed. Now same way I'll just use for the top surface. Okay, so the vertical tail I'll just sand it out. Now the sanding is missed out for this part, so let's sand it and come. Okay, sanding is completed. Okay, pushing it vertically, one drop. So in case if you're very doubtful about your positions and orientation, just make a very small quantity of glue and then check it, and finally put more glue so that you don't miss the directions. So we're cutting out the extra edges on the top also. Yeah, this small hole I'm just filling it up with small balsa wood. So make sure you cover most of the open areas. Any holes, try to fill it up, then sand it off, and then your aircraft should not have any holes or any gaps on the edges. So I'm just marking the center of the wing, pushing it. Okay, now has finished all the parts. There's no open areas. It's been sanded also. You can see those edges, right? It's completely smooth. All the edges, it's completely smooth. Now we have to fix the wing. Again, the wing is very very important because that gives the actual look of the aircraft. So if you misorient the wing, your aircraft model is going to look little awkward, and it's very difficult to break once the glue dries. So I'm just positioning it. Make sure you hold it tight so it doesn't move when you're moving around. Okay, I just put a small drop and it's glued. So the basic model is now ready. So some models there are different variants in the Pipercub. So I just wanted to make struts for this particular wing. I'm just cutting like around 2 mm of balsa wood strips. So I'll just make some slant cuts, and the strut doesn't go to the end of the wing, somewhere in the 75% of the wingspan, not the wingspan, from one end of the wing. So I'm making two such pieces. I made a small mistake that I could have cut all the 4 pieces together before gluing it. I had to later measure it again on the other side. So you can cut 4 pieces together. Yeah, so the strut is done. So let's stick it on the other side. So mark the position, cutting the struts. So one more strut. Let me show you that I made actually a slant cut so it sits exactly on the surface of the wing and also on the surface of this fuselage. So just a small drop, it's glued. Just a tap, the tip of the glue was actually very big, so I had to just tap it. So it's completed. I'm just going to paint it. The actual Pipercub is actually the black and yellow, so I'm just trying to recreate the same color. I'll be painting like black for the struts and some design works also. I could not record that part in the video. So the basic color of the aircraft is completed. I'm just using a chrome yellow for now. So after this, I gave some black colors and with the markers, I just made some detailings. See you on the next video.